do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Look at that. It's been so friggin' long. I've been doing this and I forget to take my own little picture off. Boo. How you going, folks? Hope you're doing all right. Apologies, first of all, for last night. I had another neck issue last night. Left eye was closed, didn't want to open, shock and headache. All came on about, I don't know, half an hour before the show, which was rather unfortunate. And I would have tried to do a show. It's just that I'm not capable of even concentrating when this sort of thing happens. So my apologies. We will touch on a little bit of what was in that show I had prepared for last night tonight. But there are other things that have happened. Who was first in tonight? G'day, Distilling Dave. I hope you are keeping a bottle or two around. I did enjoy the last one. So what's this? Yep, even larger ones have been having problems. Elbow won't be happy, Commie. There's nothing for there. No, ain't nothing being delivered anywhere at the moment. And we'll talk a bit more about that shortly. Hello, Ali. Yes, we are on for tonight, finally. And Pete Pinaroo is forecasting something we're trying to get together if we can get the time to do it. And he says there is a Valiant somewhere for sale, a VJ starting at $1,500 around the Tail and Bend auctions. If anybody's interested in that, there was a Pacer, one of about 1,500 cars. Details are in the chat, or I can hook you up with Pete if you are interested in that. But Vince and I are talking about putting together a buy, swap, and sell kind of thing on a Saturday morning, where we will either do it live or we will pre-record it to a point where we can roll it out, because after all, you will be the people who are buying, selling, and swapping. You don't really need us outside of hooking you all together. There are some logistics issues with all of that we're trying to figure out. So what happens if somebody in Western Australia has something they want to sell and somebody in Queensland wants to buy it? How do we get it? Particularly at this time, with transport being what it is and certainly what it's going to. So we might initially have to feather those buy, swap, and sell things. We have to get Pete to coordinate it all. I think it'll be the way it actually goes. You were told yesterday. Hello, Anne Penny. Now, I got a sneaking suspicion. I got some mail, and I can't read the handwriting, but I'm confident you and I had a conversation at some point. You said I might be getting something in the mail. I think I got it in the mail. It's one of two cookers that I received in the mail, and absolutely stunning. Thank you so much, and very generous of you. I got them toward the end of last week, and this one's been sitting in front of me since then, reminding me to do it, but I keep forgetting it. You're not the only one who gets cookers sent, though. The lovely Aussie Sue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. She has been getting some truly beautiful cookers turning up at her place, so I'm a little bit jealous, I have to admit. But yeah, well done. And thank you, Aussie Sue, for sending or posting those. You didn't send them to me, but I did show you some of the ones from her place last week. So, yeah. You've still got my samples, Dave. Loving your work, brother. Loving your work. I should cruise through the chat a bit because I haven't done it in a little while. Who else is in here? I'll try and go back up the top. G'day, Ian. Timmy is in the house. Timmy is sending me some music. I told you that Spazza Tim is using rap music at the moment, and I think he's finding it quite cathartic. I don't know what I'd call it. I can't find a word. Cathartic probably isn't the word, but I'm not a rapper of love. A rapper of love. I'm not a lover of rap. I may not be a rapper of love either, I don't think. But gotta say, I know nothing about rap, so I'm not prepared to criticize it and say it's really bad, because for all I know, it's really, really good. But there are 2 songs that he sent me so far that I'll have to give him a call when I've got 5 minutes, and we'll have a discussion about. But I would like to play certainly one of them that he sent me today. I would like to use and play in the background here at some stage, so you get a bit of an idea of what he's doing. But I can't do that without his permission. So good on you, Spazzer. I'm bloody pleased you're doing shit for yourself, man. That's and really good stuff that's really, I can sense it in your messages and your emails. It's fired you up. So yeah, very cool, very cool. You might be able to crack out the old BMX, Timmy. Don't do that, brother. Don't do that. Things break. I was going to say at our age, but you're nowhere near my age. But even still, just be careful. That cracking part that you put out with the old BMX, you don't know what might crack. Things that take a hell of a long time to repair. So just go a little easy. Tony. Yay, you can add fuel conditioner to petrol. Yes, don't add petrol conditioner to diesel or diesel conditioner to petrol. That turns things awfully nasty. And don't put AdBlue in your petrol tank or your diesel tank. Put AdBlue in your AdBlue tank. I can tell you well, I didn't do it, but one of the other drivers when I was night manager at the Gold Coast Casino for the limos, one of the guys had to go out and fill up the cars every night, make sure that they had fuel and AdBlue in a particular set of vehicles that we ran. And he came in one night white as a sheet and said, I've just put AdBlue into the petrol tank of one of the Mercedes-Benz vehicles. And I said, oh, that'll be interesting. What are we going to do with that? I said, you didn't try and start it, did you? And he said, yeah, I did. And I said, oh, that can't be good. He said it stopped. And it stops. So $15,000 later, we had a car that ran again. But it had to have an entire fuel system replaced because that AdBlue crap. And it is crap at every level. There is no reason you have to add it to your vehicle outside of the green morons that have got in place regulation. The benefit that it brings is minuscule, if any at all. All it does is put another cost on you, and it makes those practicing climate bullshit gives them another thing that they can put a tick beside and chalk up and say, yes, we've achieved doing something. I'm being told that a lot of diesel manufacturers in Europe and in America, in fact, in America in particular, Donald Trump put out something a couple of weeks ago that basically freed up the US manufacturers to go back to making reasonable cars again. It's quite clear they're not going to be making too many electric ones, with just today or yesterday announced that Aussie, a company specifically set up to import and change to left-hand drive Ford Lightnings, which are basically a Ford F-150 electric. Turns out Ford America has found out nobody wants them in America and suspects nobody will want them anywhere else in the world. And I suspect they're 100% right. So they've stopped making them and stopped sending them to Australia. Therefore, this company is turning turtle because it needed to keep products coming through the door, going out the door, that kind of thing. They do have orders in their sheds at the moment that they're converting, but is it something they're going to be able to get all the parts for, pay for all the bits for? Who knows? My understanding is into liquidation, doors are shut this week. So if you'd ordered a Ford Lightning, God help you. AdBlue, yep, 30% urea and the rest of it is detergent. And I used to think that the urea part you could probably make up for yourself if you could piddle into the hole, but apparently that's something else. Who else are we talking about here tonight? G'day, Giselle. It's been a while. Mr. Dunham, Cunning Linguist, is about. Nice to have you around. The Synchronicity Show. I do like some of these names. simple and Alipado. I don't know what that means. But the conversations. Oh, Andromeda, Spotify. Righto. All right, that's something I'll be happily able to go and have a look at. Hello, Sunflower. Hope you are well, darling. And my best to Rick, your other half. I saw Connie and Alan in there too before. I hope you guys are doing okay. I don't know if the bear is with us tonight or not. I have to keep asking. Oh, yes, tickets. Yes, we would love you to go and help. Please help. Help us finish this last lottery. We cannot just end the lottery. It's illegal. So we have to sell the last of the tickets, and I believe we started with 750. I think there may be 650 to go. Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked, and I suppose I could. Vince is probably looking. He'll put it up on the screen in just 1 second. But if you can help us, it's pretty easy. $2. And if you go to merch.vofhq.com and click on the Sanctuary 750 link, there's 189 sold, so there you go. You do the maths backwards. And click on that, $2 a ticket, and you can buy a maximum of 20 of them, I think. If you can help us out there, we would love to give Sandy the last of it. And then we're going to cull the lotto because clearly everybody who was buying the tickets must be in Victoria because since we've been banned from selling tickets to Victorians, it's been something of a grind getting to the end. So it is what it is. When am I going to get 107 back on? Interesting. You should ask that. Can I tell you that conversations have been had for the last over a week? He is a very busy man. In fact, no, longer than that. So how long's the war been going? We've been trying to talk to him since about 4 days before the war kicked off. Beckio did hear back from him the other day. He was in between planes in Dallas somewhere, and he rang her of all things, which is quite strange. And yes, he will be making room for us. He's got a very tight schedule at the moment and didn't really go into what he is doing, but I know he's been on a whole heap of other shows, and he'll get to us when he gets to us. I'm sure that's how it will work. So anyway, that it is. Sandy, the gorgeous Sandy, is in. I hope you are doing. I hope your lip is all right, my darling. I mean, I got to thinking about you and your lip the other day. I mean, what's Barry kissing now? I mean, I know he's a good ass kisser, but that can get tiring and a sore back after all that bending down. It's just a question. The weird things I think about during the day sometimes. I bet you'll listen to that. You think so? Sorry, all. Still working in the ICU stables for now. Oh, well, I hope Barry's there with you. We'll listen in on and off. There you go. Well, I hope you're still okay in the ICU. And whoever you've got in there at the night is all good. All right, let's kick into the show, shall we? Now, I've got a bit of news about one of you who doesn't appear to be in the chat tonight. That is What That, but I believe What That is watching, okay? What That is watching, because he sent me a message. Here is the message I got today. Hey, Carl, another speed bump. I'm back in SCU, which is the Sunshine Coast University Hospital, having an operation in the morning. The issue only came up last Thursday, everything being normal beforehand. If it's a success, then I will walk out. If not, I might need a peg leg for the cruise. Arr, Greg. So, disappointing news. So, for those who are unaware, Greg's has had an ulcer kind of thing on his leg, which was quite serious a few months back. He was in hospital to a point where he may well have lost it. But he didn't at that time. And when we had lunch up on the Sunshine Coast 2 months ago, it was pretty good. Seemed almost completely healed, but I'm no doctor. So being the caring person that I am, I sent him a text back. I said, oh, bleep, mate, I love that you want to be authentic, but unless you actually work for the cruise company, you can't be a pirate. They are the pirates. The best you can hope for is that they recognize and appreciate your sincere effort to join the crew and fling you a few free rums and a cage for your first parrot. I'm trying to be helpful. He's just hoping that it's not his turn for the barrel. Not to be deterred. Well, let's hope that the barrel is out of the question. No plank limping, though, because in your state, you can't walk straight. You can't have you falling off the plank too early and hitting your head on the side of the boat on the way down. OH&S all the way. That's me. We'll all be wearing our life jackets, folks. I may even keep the life raft on me there for a while. But at any rate, he replied, "Cheers, mate. You can use me, but you can never abuse me. I'll be tuning in like always." And I said, "Yeah, all right, mate. Keep your leg." Well, I was going to say up, but just keep your legs seems to be more appropriate. Good luck. So I hope I cheered him up a bit. But it is a serious issue, and it is one that he's confronted some time ago when all this happened. If it has to go, it has to go. He's accepting of that. I don't know exactly how much of his leg he might lose. Not all of it. Maybe from below the knee, might be from the knee. Might be from a bit above the knee. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But in any case, wish Greg all the best for the operation tomorrow. And hopefully, if I hear from him tomorrow, I will be able to let you know in tomorrow night's show whether he's limping or limping with a stick. We will find out in the near future. All right. ABC went on strike today. Now, a lot of the staff walked off and went to the pub from all accounts. They've been seen out day drinking in and around the swisher parts of Sydney, around Ultimo. Now, there were some of their colleagues who did go on the air and perform their jobs before going on strike. One of them, I think, was involved with either breakfast radio or breakfast TV. There was a picture to it. These days it's hard to tell. I'm going to say TV. An Indian fella in Western Australia who's leading their news service by saying, whining, carrying on that the ABC staff are going to strike today because we're not getting our way and we want a pay rise and we want this. He didn't say it like that. It was more, well, you'd know how it would be, but I won't do that. The immediate thought I had was, and he wasn't the only one. There were a number of ABC staff, radio and TV staff, who spoke out about this and put forward their case for a pay rise in their program. They've used the equipment you paid for. They've used all the infrastructure of the ABC that we've paid for to sit down and put forward their claim to us, the people who pay them, a case for their immediate pay rise. And I think it's something significant. They were offered something like 3% over 10 years, or was that 10% over 3 years? I think it was 10% over 3 years and $1,000 bonus. They knocked that back. That's because the ABC, who already pays among the highest wages in the land for anything to do with media, anything at all. If you've got a job in the ABC, you are looking at well over $100,000, and you're set for life. You really can't be fired unless, of course, you be someone like me who doesn't agree with their woke bullshit. If you're just someone who'll paint your hair whatever color of the month this is the go this month, and pierce whichever part of your face the person that happens to be running your part of the ABC that week pierces, just so that you can get kudos with the boss, then that's great. Not a place I could work, unfortunately. And Pauline Hanson has made one of the better suggestions today as a new official party leader, which means she gets $100,000 a year pay rise. People are going to jump and scream and carry on. Don't bother. The reason that this pay rise happens is she leads the One Nation Party. Now that Barnaby Joyce is in the lower house and she has 3 senators, I think it is, in the upper house, in the Senate, then they are an official party. They have exactly the same status as the Greens. They may not have the same votes, but they've got the same status, parliamentary-wise and parliamentary pay-wise. So I don't know whether or not Pauline's sharing that with Barnaby, that pay rise. She only gets it because Barnaby's in the lower house. She'd lose it if he walked and got out of politics or went independent again. So I'm not suggesting that he would, but from everything that I've seen and heard about Barnaby and Pauline's relationship, it's fine. He's very happy to stand in the background and let Pauline tear new assholes in appropriate places. And I can say that she's doing a pretty good job of that at the moment. She's riding the wave. The South Australian wave continues, believe it or not, folks, to get bigger. Vince will give you all the updates as appropriate over on the FBN channel, FBN Online on YouTube. But I can tell you that the AEC in South Australia, look, if I was Ross Coulthard, what would I say? I would say the AEC seemed to be putting forward some weird behaviour. Anomalous, that's the word. Anomalous behaviour. It is certainly not nominal behaviour. If it was nominal behaviour, they'd have their website right. But at the moment, particularly for the seat of Hammond, it doesn't appear that it's terribly right. Or if it is right, it appears that they haven't started counting any of the preferences in that seat yet. And if they haven't, why haven't they? It is Wednesday, after all. Weirder, curiouser, and weirder, I would say. No? Am I just being a little weird myself? I don't know. It strikes me as that's not the only anomalous thing that's happened over there, although Mark Aldridge and a few others have come out to say, oh, well, Vince did another nice thing last night. He jumped on FBN Media and had a fairly solid go at Sarah Hanson-Young after her speech in the Senate yesterday, where she told lies. Not one, not two, about six. Absolute filthy, stinking lies under the cover of parliamentary privilege. I understand the reason that parliamentary privilege exists, and I think it's an important reason, and I would support it staying, because without it, you won't get a whistleblower through the parliamentary ranks. You won't get someone who will push the boundaries, who will particularly push the bureaucracy, is where I'm getting at here. So that sort of thing concerns me a bit. But Pauline and her crew are going to be doing that. I sincerely believe it. A lot of things changing in One Nation. Or not really changing in One Nation, I beg your pardon, changing for One Nation. Matt Canavan, who on day one of becoming the leader of the National Party, came out and criticised Pauline Hanson and One Nation, and all but called the followers of One Nation on the lower scale of the intelligence levels Australia has been able to produce. Now seems to have reverted completely and is saying he'd talk about some sort of preference deal with One Nation going forward. Methinks they have sniffed the air, and what they smell is One Nation running them down and tearing them apart at the next election. Federally, you can gauge by the level of talk about Victoria in the Today shows and that kind of thing, that I think all political parties have given Victoria up, and I mean they'll go and fight a little harder for it when it comes closer. But at the moment, unless One Nation trips themselves over, I don't think there's anybody in Victoria who doesn't believe that they're going to clean out the Liberal Party there as well. If I was a federal Liberal, I'd be pretty unhappy with life, the universe, and everything, and I would be reassessing the party way if I was them. But anyway, On to the main bit of tonight's show. Daniel Fuller is an interesting bloke you've never heard of and are likely never to hear of again. Probably never going to meet again. He doesn't know I'm using his name. I hope he doesn't mind me using his picture and him and his truck. Now, Daniel made a very interesting post on Facebook, and I wanted to read this post out to give you an understanding of what's going on with the truckers in this industry. Now, I didn't realize some of how the math works for this, but this will be interesting for us all. A little bit of honesty and insight tonight. Facing a very tough decision at the moment, and I have made a few of them this year already. Sadly, today we are at the closest to parking the truck we ever have been, chasing our tail month after month since October last year. And just as we start seeing a bit of surplus, that little bit extra needs to be spent, and we're back at square one. The reality of the current fuel cost has struck. On Monday, he did 633 kilometres for the day. The average fuel consumption is 2.5 litres per kilometre. No, I beg your pardon, other way around. 2.5 kilometres per litre. He burned 253. The total fuel cost at $2.96 was $749, and his day's earnings roughly $1,380, making fuel roughly 54% of the daily income. So he's actually got to pay his bills on what's left outside of fuel. Now, those bills include all sorts of other things like insurance and tires, but that's another story. Now, I don't know how any business of any size continue at that rate, dealing with big businesses that will not up rates or fuel levies. Running the truck is no longer viable. My thoughts are with all the other owner-drivers and the small to mid-sized fleets that are in a similar position. If you don't see a truck on the road, this post will answer all your questions. If you don't see it on the road, if you do see it on the road, we have a decent paying load. Best of luck to you all. Daniel, doesn't it sound like they're going, it's like the aliens have arrived, we're bunkering down, see you on the other side if you're alive. He posted the receipt just to show folks that he was very serious about it. So it is no joke. In this country, 60,000 operators or more are on the edge. There is a significant chance that owner-operators in particular will fall off and out of the business because they simply, A, can't afford the fuel, but B, is a greater problem. If fuel rationing comes in, then certain companies will get access to fuel for their fleets of trucks. They will be companies that have a contract with whoever, Coles, Woolies, Safeway, Aldi, IGA, whoever. They will be those sorts of trucks that will be able to get priority. But if you're an owner driver who doesn't have contracted runs and you work basically run to run, you're stuffed. You can't drive 2,500 kilometres from Brisbane to Cooktown to drop something off without knowing, A, that you can get fuel at some point along the road that will get you back to the same point you can get fuel again, particularly when you're going up far north like that. You've got to know that you can get it, and B, that you can afford it when you get there, and it doesn't take all the profit out of the job. So, depending on how big your truck is, if it's a semi-trailer, it's an 18-wheeler, isn't it? But if it's a B double, you've got a few more. If it's a triple, you've got a lot more tires. And those tires, I can tell you, even just for this bus, are a staggering $600 each for me. I can't begin to think how much it is for one of them. So you understand having to put the price up is probably not something they want to do, but they've got to do. And then, of course, that means that the farmer in far north Queensland who says to the Blenners trucking company up there, one of two really huge far north Queensland trucking businesses that far north Queensland, and dare I say, large portions of the rest of southern parts of Australia rely on to get all sorts of tropical fruits and veg south to us at, well, all round the year, all through the year. Now, then blenders have to know that they can go and turn up. They can pick up off the farm. The farmer needs to know that he's going to have to pay X amount per tonne for the pickup. And at the moment, that rate, well, 2 or 3 days ago, that rate was $400. That could well have gone up by now. That rate has to be paid before the truck turns up to pick up, is my understanding. And now there is also a fuel surcharge that's being thrown on top, which a couple of days ago was 38%, which had to be paid on top and up front before the produce could be put on the truck and driven by Rajit down to Brisbane markets. Now, I don't know, I'm being a bit cruel, it may not be Rajit, but there are a lot of inexperienced drivers on our road. Not saying that blenders have hired them or anybody associated with them, but I have seen a few far north Queensland fruit and veg trucks on their sides up there over my days. They're big, long, heavy, and you want them in the market rather than on their side going around a roundabout. So the farmer then needs to look at not just the company they're employing to take their produce, but how reliable those drivers are. Well, some of their very reliable drivers are these sorts of one-off owner-operators who pick up the jobs, and they do Bill's farm every year, and they do Mike's farm a year later or a week or two later, and Trevor over the road and Bill up the road. And so they fill out 3 or 4 or 5 months of work ahead of time because they've been doing it for God knows how many years. But now those same blokes are saying, well, listen, mate, I can't afford to pay you $400 a tonne because I was at the supermarket yesterday where they're selling Cavendish bananas for $1.99 a kilo. Now, it was a fruit market out in front of a supermarket. $1.99 a kilo for Cavendish bananas. Coles, which you either look at as a rip-off or hopefully some of this is getting back to the producer, walked into Coles, same bananas, $4.99 a kilo. So what price is the poor bloke who's producing it getting? And then he's got to pay for all the trucking out of that. He's got to pay for the fuel out of that. And then he's got to pay for all his diesel, all the machinery costs, all the people required to put it all together. That's all adding up to something very uncomfortable. We're going to have a lot of fruit that's going to rot. We're going to have a lot of fruit that's going to rot. And a lot of farmers are going to go broke. And a lot of truck owner operators are going to go broke. They're going to park up their trucks. They're going to have to wind up finding a job because I do believe we are in for a lockdown, folks. I think they are lining us up for a lockdown with this fuel bullshit. And it is, let me just put this up, absolute bullshit. Explain to me this or riddle me this. Isn't that the old saying? 20%, 1/5 of the world's oil distribution has a problem. 20%, 1/5 of the world's oil has a problem getting from where it is to where we need it to be. 1/5, 20%. And yet, 100% of the world is falling apart over it. Can you explain to me why? Why would the media be ramping this up? Why are not the talking heads on Sky News asking the same question? Why aren't they saying, hey, hang on, 80% of the world's oil production is still working okay. Saudi Arabia secretly built like a 300-kilometer long pipeline that they've been keeping quiet because it specifically routes oil away from the war zones, the Straits of Hormuz, to the Red Sea, where it can be picked up in relative safety. Although that's changed now with the ballistic missiles. But the Saudis saw this coming years ago. They've been building that pipeline 50 years. They turned it on the other day to full flow. It pushes through something like 7 million barrels a day. Okay, it's not Carg Island, but it's going to fill up boats for 20% of the demand of the world. It'll still fill them up. It'll make it a lot easier. No big problems. Keep the Straits of Hormuz closed all you like. Why is the world so upset about 20% of the world's oil not able to get out of the hole in the ground it comes from? And yet the whole world is being turned on its head by it. It does not make sense. Now, there are stories of company fuel tank drivers quietly confirming would be such a strong word, but sly smiles, winks, nods, and this is all third-party hearsay, can't prove anything. But when asked directly, is there a fuel supply issue at your depot, they're pretty much always shaking their heads and shrugging their shoulders like, I don't know why you'd think there'd be that. And these are not blokes who have just off the boat, so to speak. So why would who benefits here? Well, clearly the warmongers benefit. But what else is going on in the world that this distraction, because that's what it is. The war is one thing. The oil bullshit is a distraction. 100%. Because 80% of the world's oil is fine. 80% of the world's gas production is fine. Well, maybe not 80% of the world's gas production. But therein lies the bonus for Australia. Because now with Qatar shut down, their LNG contracts are worth $92 billion a year. Now, the Australian government's been giving away our natural gas, and they've just done a deal today with Japan. We're going to do a gas LNG for petrol deal. Japan have something like 250 days worth of reserves for their nation. They are still receiving their fuel, as Australia is still receiving its. Yes, we had 6 boats turn around the other day. So what? So what? I can tell you from being in the business of picking up those sailors when they get to Australia and have a crew change and that kind of thing, it's not unusual for those boats to be turned around on their way to Australia or indeed between ports here in Australia, because they'll stop in Mackay and drop there, and then they might go to Gladstone and drop there, and they might go to Brisbane and drop there, and down to Sydney and drop there, and Perth on the way out, or Geelong a lot of times at the refinery down there. So they might be in Australian waters for a couple of weeks or more, or they might be just the big bulk haulers that come into places like Mackay and Darwin and offload huge amounts into storage facilities and head back to fill up again. I don't know whether they fill up with any of our, I don't think they are anymore, filling up with any of our crude and taking that back. They might have been doing that. Yes, you could mix the crudes around. It wouldn't be a problem. It's all going to be reprocessed anyway. So don't know that that's happening at the moment, because now our refineries, all one of them, I think, is ramped up to full capacity. That's Geelong. I'm pretty confident they'll be talking about. It's pumping out as much fuel as it is able to do. And right now, people are making some very interesting TikTok videos about the color of that fuel. I've always marveled at how diesel has been so clean. Diesel, to me, has always been a very dark fuel when I was growing up. But now it's practically the same color as unleaded, and that's almost transparent. So when you get some diesel that is Australian made, bear in mind it has a higher sulfur content and a few other things in it. Australia sells and has been selling it off to third world countries as fuel oil for certain industries and cars and all that sort of stuff. But they've now lowered the green threshold, which is a good thing. Our cars ran on just this mixture of sulfur and everything else during COVID. No problem whatsoever. So don't worry about your new sports car or anything else. You're going to do fine with that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. The garbos are going to be a bit of a problem. Now, getting a garbage collected is something we take for granted, but so far the government, in any of their plans that they are thinking about, have not really given much thought to making sure that council garbage trucks are given priority. Now, can you imagine garbage not being given a priority? I ask you. So they've warned that services, including collections, would be reduced, paused temporarily during the soaring cost of diesel. The Waste Management and Resource Advisory Recovery Association of Australia said disruptions could begin in the coming weeks. The sector is pushing to be included in the federal government's priority fuel user list, so it's given priority access to diesel. That would be a council thing. They would wind up having to do that through, I would imagine, because council will have access to priority fuel to fix things, you would hope. Things of significance. You're not going to get the lawns on the side of the road mown for a long, long time, and I suspect you won't get the holes in the road fixed in any shorter time, sadly. However, Albo Sleazy and a la Albo and what's the bloody nickname, Bowen, they got a plan. Oil suppliers and retailers could face fines of up to $100 million if they are caught price gouging. There are fears the cost of petrol and diesel have risen to unnecessary highs. We're talking about 20% of the world's fuel, not even the fuel that comes to Australia. 20% of the world's fuel, got the whole world in a tiz, 100% of the world all upside down. And yeah, unnecessary highs. Why is this happening? The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission have so far received more than 500 claims of price gouging since the Iran war started in late February. In response, the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, has introduced a bill in Parliament this morning that said it would give the watchdog power to dish out a maximum penalty that would double to $100 million. Yawn. There is a solution to price gouging, and I think it's pretty simple. The moment that price gouging appears to be happening, when prices are lifted to such an extent over a very short period of time, when there is no reasonable basis. Bear in mind, none of the fuel you've been buying and putting in your vehicles of any flavour was bought at the $3 you're paying for it now, or anywhere close to it. They are making, well, and somebody did the maths on this. Go back to COVID era, oil was at the same price it is today, or when it started out today, was at the same price. We were paying $2.08 to $2.20 a litre for fuel back then. Now we're paying 50 to 80 cents more per litre, but nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Why does 20% of the world's oil being choked off need to interrupt 100% of the world? It doesn't make sense. Unless you can figure out a way, email me, Carl@vofhq.com. I'm very interested to hear, but it simply doesn't make sense. What does make sense is that your deliveries are about to go up. Australia Post didn't make enough billions last year, but I am being facetious there. The fuel costs would kill any business at the moment. So they're going to put up their postage service surcharge, and it will almost triple from 4.8% to 12% amid the rising fuel costs, of course. Now, Star Trek are going to do the same. Their premium prices will rise from 15.5% to 22.7%. They will come into effect from about April the 3rd, or directly from April the 3rd, only a couple of weeks away. And I am sure that there are a lot of Australia Post contractors who hope they can afford to keep fuel in their vans, mostly, I guess, until April the 3rd, because by then they're not going to be paying $3.10 for a litre. And $3.10, my friends, is exactly what Pete from Pinaroo is paying today. $3.10 per litre. A very, very disturbing amount of... Oh, wrong one. Let me get rid of that. Beg your pardon. Sorry. I'm trying to bring up Pete's little picture that he sent me. I've got so much loaded up here tonight. She's right. There we go. Cheeks as full as a chipmunk, this one. So $3.10, $3.09 for diesel, or 0.99, and unleaded at $2.59.9. So those prices are way, way more than we were paying during COVID. But why? None of the fuel that we're currently buying was affected in its buy price by the war. It's all been sitting in the tanks for at least 6 weeks. Now, the new stuff will be starting to flush through, but these bastards have been gouging right from the word go. So my thought is, what should happen to them? Well, the ACCC is a toothless piece of shit. You know, well, we'll write you a letter and we might get you to come to court and you might get a slap on the wrist. Well, we can give you $100 million fine. You're more likely going to get $1 million fine. Is that too much? Anyway, they couldn't give a shit. They certainly don't give a shit about the small independent fuel market like Australia, right? We don't rate on the scale of the amount of litres that they sell every month. They could turn us off. So taking a big stick to them and saying we're going to maybe fine you $100 million means absolutely nothing. Nothing. So I propose this. When evidence, genuine evidence, appears in multiple cities at the same time over multiple days, when huge jumps occur for no apparent reason, when it is quite obvious that the fuel in the tanks at the petrol stations that day did not magically grow 40 cents in value per litre, how is that not gouging, I will ask. So when those evidence of that sort of thing happens, I propose the following. The immediate arrest of the chairman of the boards and the CEOs, or somebody from the management, head of management teams, for all of the fuel companies that have done it. All of them, immediately arrested. They are arrested with bail refused. They can't just go and get a tap on and say, yeah, we'll see you in a month. They will have 1 day to explain why this happened. And that will be the day after they're arrested. They'll be able to get their lawyer, no worries. But they should be able to explain why the prices went up just like inside a day. They should be able to explain that because, well, that went up just inside a day. You won't need more than a day to explain why you did it. So 1 day where the CEOs and the chairmen of the board present the business case for raising fuel prices like they've done at the beginning of this little distraction that's going on at the moment. Why they would do that, why they would put stress on the supply lines. Now, unless they could convince the court that they had very genuine reasons for gouging, then I would suggest they would be found guilty. Now, if they're found guilty, they do not go back to the boardroom. They go directly to jail for a minimum of 3 years. I would like to see 5. A 5-year jail term with a minimum of 3 years, maybe more. If independent distributors who get their fuel from these bigger companies and then bring it off to smaller markets, if independent distributors are found to be doing the same thing and station operators, the local petrol station decides he's going to jack the price for whatever reason, the same punishments apply. Leave your thoughts in the comments because I'd be really interested to hear what you think about that. There needs to be something much stronger than the ACCC to bring our fuel companies, and they're not even ours, they're multinational fuel companies, to heel. Why is the world turned upside down? Because 20% of the world's oil supply is currently unavailable. And it's not that at all. The grey fleet from China is getting through quite happily. And there's been noise today from Iran that any vessel that is a non-aggression vessel can travel the Straits of Hormuz. It doesn't matter if they're American registered or British registered or an allied country registered, they will not be attacked. They do need to contact the Straits Iranian port authorities, I guess, on the way through, explain who and what and where they are and where they're going, I guess, but they're all welcome to go through. So there is no reason now for the ships not to be passing through the Straits of Hormuz. Iran have said, go, all good. But they've also sent a note to President Trump today, and part of the reason that silver has bounced, and what's it bounced to? Have I got it up? When I was looking before, it had bounced to $1.03, so it's dropped a couple of dollars. So it was at $1.05 when I started the show, so it's come down a little bit. But at the end of the day, it has picked up a lot today. It has climbed from the low 90s where it was yesterday, and today we're showing good signs of growth again. However, we'll wait and see what happens with that going forward. The pressure on the markets is extreme. I understand that. But I don't understand why 20% of the world's oil is upsetting everybody. I don't understand why that 20% affects us here in Australia, because it doesn't. We don't get it from there. Singapore might get it from there, but Singapore has refineries the size of Tasmania. Might be exaggerating. Thailand, Malaysia, all got those big refineries. Yes, they do get some oil from that area. But now the Saudis have opened up a pipeline. The same oil they would have got from inside the Gulf, they can now get from outside the Gulf. So the Straits of Hormuz are ostensibly open if you listen to the Iranians. But they did send, as I say, Donald Trump a list of demands. I'm just trying to find it because it's well worth reading. A list of demands for the cessation of hostilities. And let me read them to you. Tehran is demanding the closure of all U.S. military bases in the Gulf region, and they are demanding reparations for all the attacks on the country. That means they want the Americans to pay for everything. They also insist on being able to collect fees from ships that transit the Straits of Hormuz. Now, this is a sticking point. Right now, some of the ships, and for the last week or so, ships that have wanted to transit and have been allowed to by the Iranians, have been allowed to as long as they pay a $2 million fee to do so. Now, that sounds excessive, but in the world of big cargo shipping and, keeping the supply lines moving, that is nothing. Absolutely nothing. The shipping companies wouldn't even hesitate to pay that if it guaranteed their boat could get in and get out, and it wasn't going to get a rocket up its jacksie at some point. So, at any rate, the straits are open, but now Iran want to charge a fee that isn't stipulated. That's probably going to be a bit hard. They also don't want the Israelis attacking Hezbollah in Lebanon anymore. On that point, there is noise of the Israelis looking to invade certain parts of Lebanon. Southern Lebanon is what I'm hearing. So I don't know how Donald Trump feels about that. This morning, he was starting to pull back from the war completely, saying that, they found a new leader who was doing really well. So my guess is if an American missile, an Israeli missile haven't killed that bloke yet, then somebody on the inside in Iran has, because he was talking to the Americans. All seems to have gone a bit quiet. It's a very strange set of circumstances going on in this weird and wicked little world we live in at the moment. Tomorrow is this day. I don't know whether or not you want to be involved with this. I fail to see what doing this on a day does. I mean, if you're going to do it for a month. Then do it for a week. But we'd all have to do it for a week. And frankly, I don't trust everybody to do it. And if everybody doesn't do it, then the whole thing's just wasted. But anyway, if you want to do it, Stop for Australia, all happening tomorrow. Wear orange. I don't know if this is a One Nation thing. I don't think so. But pause your spending. That's what it's all about. Don't go and get anything from anywhere. Do not buy anything from anywhere. That is the message this is putting out for a whole 24 hours. And that'll teach them. That'll teach them. What the hell? Well, not exactly sure what it'll teach them, but that'll teach them. I have absolutely no doubt. So good luck if you're going to be involved with that. Mr. Babbitt, Senator Babbitt, got a rather interesting invitation. Now, last weekend there was a lot of noise about Pauline Hanson being in South Australia and yada, yada, yada. Can't win them one way or the other with her. She knocked back an invitation to go to a dinner with Donald Trump, apparently. But Babbitt, not so. Good on you, Ralph. Well done. Also interesting that he posted it up. Now, of course, Pauline did the right thing, sticking around for Australians in South Australia, trying to help Corey Bernardi and his crew get to what is a record-breaking result. Record-breaking. And very encouraging for the rest of the country if you're a supporter of voting. And I would say, it's hard to tell, but I would say that there's a bit of a protest vote from those who don't vote, who decided, yeah, righto, well, let's go and shove it up the uni party because you're sick and tired of having it shoved up you by them for so long. You may not support One Nation, a whole part or the whole party thing, but I've got to tell you, this wave that One Nation are pushing, you can certainly give the party an enema they will remember just with your one vote. Might be worth coming out of retirement. That's all I'm saying. Urgent warning over new cash rules introduced by the Alba-Sleazy government. Don't let them pass or phase the cash out. Malcolm's back up arguing against that again, obviously. I don't think there's too much support in the House because One Nation have very little support in the House. This is why we have to change things, folks. One Nation put a motion forward the other day that we needed to go and have a very deep, that's the wrong one. We needed to go and have a very deep look into the NDIS and who, what, where, all of that. No, that got voted down. And those are the politicians that did it. The Labours, the Greens, and Tyrrell, the Independent. I'm heartened to see that there isn't a Liberal or National name on there. But the Labor Party don't want you knowing who's rorting the NDIS? And the Greens are supporting them 100%, because I'd be amazed if there ain't them Greens amongst them doing a bit of rorting, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Very quickly, the cowards. This comes from somebody in the UAE. The cowards in NATO right now, this very moment while I post this, the UAE stands strong. Our brave air defences are intercepting ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones launched by the Islamic regime, destroying every single one and protecting 200 nations, including your own citizens whom you abandoned. We will not forget this moment. History will record this NATO cowardice clearly, permanently, and without mercy. And don't dare tell us the lie that you stand against Russia. You don't. You're lying. Iran arms Russia with drones used against Europe and NATO partners, and you still protect Iran as Russia's gateway to the Middle East. Watch closely. The UAE, a brave nation with strong leadership, will make history. That is not a statement. That is a promise. Note it down. Bit of a nasty one. The UAE have performed well above expectations, I would have thought. The UAE have done an amazing job sheltering not just their own people, but the huge amount of expats that live in places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and Qatar for that matter, and Bahrain. The American bases located in Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, they will be rebuilt. They won't be dismantled unless the world changes very, very radically. Fingers crossed there is that. And before we go, there is news from this old mate. He has decided he wants his daughter to come back, which is lovely. I'm just not sure whether or not he hasn't got anybody else at home he wants to subjugate or abuse, or maybe it's because if she comes home, he might be able to make $1 out of the NDIS. At any rate, I'm sure Allah Albo and Burke will be able to make that happen for him. Notice how that's dropped off the radar, folks. I personally think those 34 people are already back in the country. I think they were brought into Amberley recently, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Cops have been pretty wild too. They've had a very big bust. They found 50 drums of petrol today, estimated street value over $40 million. The drums were hidden in a shipment of cocaine. Memes. I get a great deal of enjoyment out of it. And for those of you, I'm going to love you and leave you. For those of you that struggle with jury service, and I know there are a lot that don't want to do it, this crossed today. Oh, no, bugger me. I'll get the right one up. This one. Hi, I'm not sure if this post will get approved. This is an update about my call for jury service to the Crown Court. I used their own website to tell them that I can't be a juror, as it would be unlawful for me to do so, as I'm standing under the barons who declared lawful rebellion in 2001 and invoked Article 61 of the Great Charter of Magna Carta 1215. In clarification, the Crown Court gets its authority from the monarch. I, on the other hand, am standing with the barons. No man can serve two masters who are opposed to each other. The result of my reply was to be informed I am no longer expected to comply and have been stood down, so to speak. I think we can call this a win. Best regards to all. So if you're trying to dodge jury service, maybe send a letter. As always, folks, be safe, be happy in the things that you do. If we can help, just send an email, carl@vofhq.com, vince@vofhq.com. And if we don't know the people already that might be able to help you out, we'll probably know somebody who does. And as long as they're not a dickhead on the road, they can expect a pretty good ear from us. Have a good one. Oh, might be some news on a trip to Vanuatu coming up, just between you, me, and the gatepost. If you're interested in little getting away holidays, I'd be interested to see how much the jet fuel costs. But there may be something in the offing to Vanuatu. Don't ask me yet. Can't
you let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back! Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!